Welcome everyone, and let's get talking about Wuthering Waves. So, did you know that you can get a free 5-star weapon? And it's not just a free 5-star weapon, it's a free 5-star weapon of your choice. So, there's gonna be this event in Wuthering Waves called Awakening Journey when you start the game. According to the event, when you get to Union level 45, you get this item called a Winter Broom Weapon Box. This is actually a 5-star weapon selector from where you can pick one of 5 weapons, which is one each of the 5 weapon types. Alright, let me tell you what a union level is first. Union level is basically your account level. You can increase this union level by just playing the game, doing quests, dailies, and etc. It's your usual gacha account level stuff. So let's talk about the weapons that you can pick from this selector. This selector has 5 weapons, one of each weapon type. So let's first start out with Abyss Surges. Abyss Surges is the Gauntlet weapon, which starts out with the base attack of 47 and a substat of 8% base attack. So the passive for this weapon is increasing energy regeneration by 12.8%, and when the skill hits an enemy, it increases the basic attack damage by 10%, and when a basic attack hits the enemy, it increases the skill damage by 10%, and this lasts for 8 seconds. It's a pretty good DPS gauntlet, I guess, and it's gonna be the best in slot for Ling Yang. As for the other 2 gauntlet users, Yan Xin and Huan Wu, it's not gonna be that good. It's gonna be more of a standstick, not that much great. There are a lot of competitive 4-star options which are gonna perform on the same level. So if you have Ling Yang, this is gonna be your best pick. Next up, let's talk about the Rectifier Cosmic Ripples. It has a base attack of 40 and a substat of 12% attack. The passive is very similar, being the same 12% energy regeneration, and when you hit a target with a basic attack, the basic attack damage is increased by 3.2%, and this effect can stack up to 5 times, lasting for 8 seconds. So this is gonna be good for characters that use a lot of basic attacks. This is essentially therefore gonna be the best in slot for Encore. As for the other Rectifier users, they are mostly support characters like Verena and Baiji. They're not about doing damage. And lastly, we have Yinlin. It's not that bad for Yinlin. It's mostly gonna function as a stat stick. Obviously, her signature String Master is gonna be the ideal one for her. If you're not getting String Master, it's not the worst option. Like, it's pretty good. Honestly, it's gonna beat out most of the 4 stars. And if you have Encore and you wanna main her, this is gonna be her best in slot. Next, let's talk about the sword, Emerald of Genesis. It has a base attack of 47 and a crit rate of 5.4%. This is one of the few weapons in this entire list that has a crit rate substat, which is definitely more valuable than attack in my opinion. It's a very similar affair with the substat, with the ever-present 12.8% energy regen increase, and when the resonance skill hits the target, attack is increased by 6%, and this effect can stack up to 2 times, lasting for 10 seconds. So it's an attack increase and an energy regen increase for the most part, but it has that valuable crit rate substat, which makes it pretty universal for every single sword user in the game right now. So for sword users, we have Rover, Dan Jin, Sanhua, who are gonna be like the most damage oriented characters in the game, all of which can greatly benefit from this sword. So keep an eye out for them if you wanna main them, and any future sword characters I believe will be able to capitalize on this weapon very well as well. Okay, next up, let's talk about the Broadblade Lustrous Razor. So it has the same 12% 8 energy regeneration increase, and when resonance skill hits the target, resonance reverberation damage is increased by 8%. This effect can stack up to 2 times, lasting for 12 seconds. It has a base attack of 47 and a substat of 8% attack. So anyways, moving on to like the viability again. Unfortunately, this weapon is not the best for any of the characters that use Broadblades. Although it has a liberation damage increase, both Jian and Calcharo don't do any liberation damage. They do benefit from the increased energy regen though, because they want a lot of energy to get their resonance liberation, which is their ultimate, quicker. So it's mostly a stat stick. They also benefit for the good chunk of attack that this weapon gives, so it's like a second best option. Obviously Jian's signature weapon, Verdant Summit, is gonna be the best for Jian and also for Kelcharo because of its better passive and the crit damage substat. Anyways, next up we have Static Mist. It's a 5-star pistol with a base attack of 47 and a base crit rate of 5.4%, just like the sword. Similarly, it has the increased energy regen of 12.8%, and the unique thing about this weapon is after performing the outro skill, attack of all party members is increased by 10%. This effect can stack up one time and lasts for 14 seconds. This is the only weapon in this entire list that buffs up the entire team, which in my opinion makes it a lot more valuable than most of the weapons, honestly. The pistol characters, with the exception of Chixia, are mostly supports, or sub DPS supports to be exact. We have, other than Chixia, we have Alto and Mortife. Both of them have support outro skills where Mortife buffs heavy attack damage and Alto buffs arrow damage. So these two characters can also capitalize on additional buffing with this weapon, which makes it really good. Also, Chixia will all benefit with this weapon as well because of the good DPS stats, having an increased base crit rate on the substats. So this is definitely gonna be the best in slot for every pistol user in the game right currently, and also a very generalist weapon for any support pistol users in the future. Anyways, that's it for an overview for all the weapons. Now let's talk about what I would recommend and why. So you can choose your weapon according to the 5-star standard that you got. If you got like a Kelcharo, maybe pick the broadsword, and if you have like an Encore, pick the rectifier. But if you want to min-max and the most bang for the buck, the two weapons that I'm going to recommend are the sword, Emerald of Genesis, and the pistol's Static Mist. They both have crit rate substats, which makes them pretty good options for DPS characters. As for the sword, it is very universal and can be used for every sword users. You have Dan Jin on the list of sword users, so this is gonna buff her up even higher, and of course Dan Jin is broken, so having a 5-star sword on her is gonna be all the more better for her. She's gonna do insane damage. As for the pistols, yeah, it's a support weapon, but the value is undoubtedly very good. Like, I believe it rivals the sword in terms of value, if not better. This weapon is probably only gonna get better because of the buff that it can provide with the outro skill. It's gonna be very useful as more pistol characters come out that have support skills like Alto and Mortife. So if you are not simply looking for a DPS increase on your main character, perhaps if you have the sword, somehow you got lucky, then this is gonna be like undoubtedly the best option. And if you're somehow not into sword characters, then pick this. Pick the pistol and you won't regret it. Anyways, that's all I have to say for the weapon. If you found this video useful, please leave a like and subscribe maybe. Well then, I'll see you next time.